This is for you. When you watch you and Marchessault, the dynamic between the two of you, why does it work so well, and how long or short a time did it take for you guys to develop the chemistry that you have?
I think it took some time. Marshy and I played together for spurts of the season last year, and even spurts of the year, to begin with this season, and for whatever reason, you're always changing line. And a lot happens during the course of a season in terms of injuries and guys coming up and down and lines changing and trying to find good combinations. But I think it was, I want to say maybe like after the bye week. I think that's when we started, developing better chemistry. And, it's like anything. The more you spend time with somebody on the ice and communicate and, they're able to kind of learn your tendencies and vice versa. I think with Marshy, he's so used to playing with Carl and Smitty, and they had an unbelievable chemistry. You can see it when they play together. Whereas I think I play a little different style, and he's such a great shooter. I think I try and pass first, I guess, and the addition of Barbs has been great. I think he does a lot of things that Marshy and I, need him to do, and I think he complements the two of us well. So I think it's been working. Obviously, it doesn't work if you don't have a guy putting the puck in the net, and Marshy sure has been doing that. So it's a credit to him.
Two more, back right.
Jack, I believe when the guy to your left was playing in the Stanley Cup Final in 2019, you were at one of those games in Boston.
Yeah.
Correct? So when you were there, were you at all thinking do you remember at all thinking man, this would be really cool if I get this chance? What were you thinking at that moment, and kind of has it lived up to what your expectations were?
I think every player's dream is to play in the Stanley Cup Final and have an opportunity to win, and I was no different there that time. I just went to the game. I had a few friends on both teams, and it's an opportunity to watch a hockey game. I thought it was a good opportunity to go to the game with my dad. I think he wanted to go. I think it was really close to either Father's Day or whatever. It was a great experience, really cool. I think when you're sitting there watching as a player, you want to be in that situation. So I think you have a lot of questions in your head when you're sitting there watching it, what it would be like to be there. Now that I'm here, it's been an awesome experience throughout the whole playoffs. It's been a lot of fun, and I think everybody in the room and everyone's families, I think that's what makes it so special, just being around them every day and getting to enjoy it with the people that you love.
Last question, front left.
Neil McHale, NHL.com International. Questions for Jack. The PK's been so successful in the first 3 games of this series here. As a player who doesn't, play on it a ton, when you guys have, when we were watching from the bench and they have a big block shot or back-to-back kills, how much momentum do you get from that? And then for someone who might go on the ice for the next shift, how much of that can you carry into that shift?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Our PK's been it's been a huge part of our game here, and I give those guys a ton of credit. Obviously, I'm not front and center like the guy to the left of me on it every time we take a penalty, but I think you can get a lot of momentum looking at it the opposite way. Sometimes, when you have a power play and you feel the other team can build momentum on their penalty kill if your power play is not good. So I feel like as a group, we've done a really good job of building momentum from our penalty kill, and it's a credit to the guys that go out there, and it's also a credit to our coaching staff. So we're going to need it to be good again tonight.
Thank you for your time, guys. Thanks, guys. Vegas Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy will be here shortly.
Ben, Danny, questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Right. That's great.
I hope so. That'd be incredible. I don't think he's on the room though. That's the problem. He lets them celebrate in the room without him.
Same place, same that time, same that channel.
Hey, Bruce. From the Vegas Golden Knights, we have head coach Bruce Cassidy. Please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll start front left.
Ben Goetz, Las Vegas Free Journal. Bruce, you've talked a lot about between games you focus on the big picture. You let the players dream a little bit. I guess how important do you feel that is to kind of have them, realize what's at stake and not kind of dance around what you're fighting for?
I mean, I guess it's up to the individual how much they want to talk about what they're thinking of, right? I mean, we all are acutely aware of what we're playing for, and I don't think it's a bad thing to feel like they need to discuss it openly or not. I mean, I've just made my feelings known that remember what we're doing this for. So on the days off, you got to relax a little bit, enjoy your downtime with your family at home and on the road with your teammates or whatever the case may be, and kind of mentally recharge. So that's part of it to me. I mean, you do have some free time here, and sort of refocus on your big long-term goals, and then the next day it's back to the short-term goal mentality of details and what we got to do to get there. So that's how we've approached it. At least I have. I think the players have probably done a lot of the same.
Front left.
Danny Webster, Las Vegas Sun. Bruce, is it easy to just attribute how well this team has played coming off a loss to a veteran locker room, or is there something more to it in how they've been able to respond?
It's probably both. I mean, it's a proud group, especially in the playoffs. You want a response. I think the staff has done a good job of attacking areas where we can improve without completely changing what we do. It's always about, hey, this is how we got here and this is how we want to play. So maybe it's more reminders against certain types of forechecks or D-zone coverages, etc. And then you make a few tweaks to special teams. That's pretty normal, I think. I think it's because we're a good team. We want to get back in the win column. The guys know what's at stake. So I think it's as simple as that, personally. It didn't happen in Game 5 in Dallas at home for whatever reason, so we're certainly not immune to taking some time to find our game. But I think in general we've been really good with that. And that, like I said, it's probably a common goal and a veteran group that knows what's at stake.
Back right.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN. Bruce, with over 30 block shots in the previous game, do you look at that as a positive, or as a coach, do you look at it as, okay, they also had over 70 shot attempts on us, and that's something we have to tighten up?
The shot attempts to me is an interesting analytic, because there's teams that just pound the puck from anywhere, and there's other teams that play for maybe a better look, right, for high percentage shots. So I think we fall more into the latter, and I think Florida's in the former, and I see it with Carolina's, Calgary's. We've got certain teams we play against. We know what's coming, so recover to the front of the net. And that's what happens. A lot of these do get blocked if we're sort of on our toes and know that what's coming maybe before it actually arrives, right? And so there are tendencies, and we look at those, and that, just like teams will look at our tendencies. And I think they have some lines that want to make a little triangle play near the front of the net too. So it's not always pounded, but at the end of the day, shot attempts matter. Obviously, it means they're getting. To me, it's more they're getting to the loose pucks, probably winning their races to get second and third attempts, more so than maybe the act of us not doing whatever we have to do to, I guess, prevent the first one. But it's more about the way we play. We would protect their interior first. So there's going to be shot attempts from the outside. We just, what can we do to get the rebound or rebound them better, or in this case, your question, a block or save, whatnot, so the goalie can see it. So there's a little bit of that. We would probably typically get out shot attempted. I would think our stats would dictate that. Hopefully not too much, but at the end of the day, because we want to have the puck, we want to be good in the face-off circle, and we want to be in attack mode. But how we attack is probably a little different than maybe Florida in that regard. So the 30 shot blocks are good, but I would have to go into detail to see exactly why. How many were on the PK versus 5-on-5, because don't forget we did kill 5, and both teams had a lot to kill, so the shot blocks go up, I think, in those situations. So there's a little bit more that goes into it, just a number, I think.
Back left.
Hey Bruce, Gary Lawless. After Game 5, it's a different situation because I don't think you liked your Game 5 in that series, and you did like your Game 3 in this one, but you had a pointed message prior to Game 6. You said, let's get serious and let's play hard, or be hard. Do you have a message like that today, and can you share it?
It was a bigger message than that after Game 5. That was kind of where we needed to be better in the details, but we talked a little more of the big picture the day before, what we're here for and what do we want to be known as Vegas Golden Knights, because they'd been to the conference final a couple times and couldn't quite get over the hump. So there's a little bit of that discussion, right? What's it going to take? And that's where the harder comes into it. We're over that hump. Now we're the final hump. So I don't know that, this is a veteran group that's one that they need to be sort of reminded what at stake. That's all that was. And it's to get their focus maybe on something else. You've lost a couple games, and sometimes as a coach you got to go different directions on how to get your group's attention. And that was what we did that night. The message today is a little bit about, there's a lot of the same that we did well, but the harder message, they scored a 6-on-5 goal because they outnumbered us at the net. So that's an area we have to continue to harp on with our group. Pucks are, to your question, pucks are coming there, so we got to make sure. So that'll be the detail we're working on today. And offensively, hanging around, getting in front of their goaltender a little better. He saw a lot of our chances and made good saves. So that's our messaging. I'm not sure if that answered your question. But at the end of the day, I think we're in a different situation than, after Dallas. We didn't hate our Game 5, to be honest with you. It was 2-2 with 10 minutes to go, but they were pushing us more than we were pushing them. That's the part we didn't like. So Game 3 yesterday, I thought we did a lot of the pushing. We just didn't finish some plays to extend the lead. So that'll be our goal tonight. Keep being the team that's on their toes and pushing, and hopefully do a little better job finishing to get a lead and extend the lead.
Take 3 more questions, right side, second row.
Jesse Granger with The Athletic. We've talked a lot about how good the defense has played in these playoffs. What's impressed you most about John Stevens and the work he's done with the blue line?
His details to what we talk about as a staff. He's very good at, when we sit down or I sit down with John, here's what I'm seeing, what are you seeing, and then translating that to the players. Okay, it's a very, very same message. His work ethic, he's always in there. He'll do it with pairs. He'll do it with a group of 6, whatever's necessary. PK guys that are killing. So he always has his computer out ready to revisit the things we've talked about. It's a very detail-oriented guy, outstanding work ethic, and he's got good knowledge of the opposition. He's a guy that loves the game. He studies the game, and he's able to get that message through to the players. There's a lot of guys that know the game well, but how does that translate in your messaging and teaching to the players? And I think there's background in him. He's got 2 boys that play, so he's done a lot of that. So he understands the dynamic of speaking, to someone younger and how to translate.
2 more, right side, third row.
Sean Shapiro with EP Ringside. Bruce, you've coached against Pietrangelo on this stage before, and you've prepped for him, but I'm curious, now coaching him, is there anything about his game that surprised you, or anything that you maybe didn't expect now that you have him as a player on your team?
When I've first come up against Petro from that series and being in the East, I thought he was more of a, I don't know what the word, I was asked this before. I find he's much more of a 200-foot player than I would have given credit for. By that means shot blocking, penalty kill, last minute of periods, last on the ice for 6-on-5. I thought he was more tilted towards the offensive side of things, and they used other guys, maybe Periaco then, but that's not the case. He plays in all situations. Great at penalty kill clears, so more of a complete player than I would have. Probably would have thought at first. Not that I didn't think he was a great player, but just some of the little things he does on the defensive side of things have impressed me a lot.
Last question, back left.
Coach Antti Mäkinen, Viaplay Finland. You talked about those small details you expect from your own team today at the Game 4, but what are you expecting to see from the Panthers side? Because they played a bit smarter game in the Game 3. What are your expectations tonight against, what do you want to see, what do you expect to see from the Panthers?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into detail about their game because they know it better than I do. I expect they'll be like the first period. They'll try to be on top of us, pressure us into mistakes in the forecheck. I thought we didn't execute as well as we should have in the first period. Some of that could have been travel, their home. There's different things that go into it. So I'm expecting our team to pick up more where we left off from the second period on than the first. So I would hope they'd probably want to replicate the recipe they had in the first period. So that's pressure. Their D is up. Forcing to make plays under duress, reloading hard. I think the game was less physical in general than the first two. Yet I still think there was lots of good hard body checks. It was just different type of physical up there. I thought it was more of an undisciplined sort of game up in Vegas than it was the other night. Even though there was lots of penalties, there were more stick fouls on both teams and less unnecessary stuff. That's how I saw it. So I expect they'll want to build off their Game 1. I expect they'll try to make a few tweaks to their power play. They haven't been successful yet. They've been close, so we have to be mindful of that as well.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Thank you. Thanks, Bruce.